So today we are on our, fourth video and it's dinner time. So today I am using one of Paleo Running Mama's, one of my favorite recipes. It's a steak and broccoli stir fry. And this is maybe not the easiest one to make, but we're gonna try it anyways. I am actually making dinner tonight for real, so that'll be fun. These are all of our ingredients for our meat base and our broccoli, and then we will also be making a sauce, but that will come later. The ingredients that we're gonna need for the actual meat and broccoli, like the actual one, is we're gonna need 2 tablespoons of water, about a 1/4 cup of sliced green onions. I did like roughly 2 cloves of minced garlic. We're gonna need a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon of coconut aminos, which is kind of like a paleo soy sauce. I used a mix of the regular one and then some teriyaki because we ran out of regular. And then I have like 1.25 pounds of flank steak, which I will show you guys how to cut. I have a whole head of broccoli that I just cut into, bite-sized pieces, and coconut oil to grease our pans. So let's get started on this really crazy recipe. Okay, so our first step is to cut our meat, and I think for me this is gonna be the hardest part of the recipe, and there are lots of rules and guidelines for cutting meat and raw foods because they can make you sick. Steak specifically couldn't make you as sick as, let's say, chicken, especially raw chicken, raw eggs. That's very bad. You cannot use the same knife that you use for cutting that for anything else. But even though we know that's not the case with our raw steak, we still want to make sure that we're careful when we don't reuse this cutting board or this knife for anything else that doesn't involve raw meat. So for this, she said that we are supposed to cut against the grain thin slices. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of model a few, and we'll see. So what I'm first going to do is kind of shift my knife sideways and cut that way. So we get like strips almost. And sometimes it'll be a little hard to cut, but we got it. So see, it's kind of like a single strip almost. And then I'm going to cut that into pieces from there. So I'm kind of just going to keep doing this, making them fairly thin. Now, there are lots of different ways that you can cut your steak, and this way I think is just going to be the easiest, and I think it's pretty close to what she does, but I am also not the best at cutting meat. That's probably my least favorite part. I usually have my mom do it. But as she is not here and this is my project, we're gonna try it. But yeah, I think also the only part that matters for this is making sure that you're cooking it for the right amount of time. So that's like the most important part, and as long as your meat is cooked to however much you need, then that's what you need to focus on. So I think this way of cutting will just make it easier for me to cook my meat faster. But other than that, I don't think it matters too much. So we're just gonna go for it. And other than rules with how raw it is, you also have to be careful of your knife and your stove. You want to make sure that you don't burn yourself or cut yourself, especially with raw meat, because it's a little tougher to cut, which I've already heard from my mom about 1,000 times. So yeah, I'm just gonna finish cutting the steak and we will be back once it's done. Okay, so now that we have all of our meat chopped up, and I kind of just did like little bite-sized pieces, I also washed my hands and put my cutting board in the sink to make sure we didn't use that again. I'm going to take this, I'm just gonna dump it into this big bowl. We're working on our marinade for this. You're gonna have to let this sit up to 15 minutes, but making the sauce should take about that long. So I'm not super worried. We're gonna add our apple cider vinegar in there. And we're gonna add our coconut aminos. And we're also gonna add some salt. I'm gonna do about like a big pinch, I'd say, like that much. I'll maybe do a little bit more. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go get some gloves so I can mix this up. Okay, so gloves are really good. Like these just plastic food gloves are really, really good because I don't necessarily wanna put my hands in the raw meat, coconut aminos, and all of the stuff that we put in this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of toss it around. We don't have a ton of liquid for this, but I wanna make sure that all the salt is incorporated because like the liquid already will be because it floats to the bottom, but I wanna make sure all that salt is good and in there and good to go. So now we are just going to cover it and let it sit for about 15 minutes and we'll start on our sauce. So now that our meat is covered and sitting in its marinade, we are going to let it sit for about 15 to 30 minutes. I said 15, but if this sauce takes longer than that, then we will see. So first I have 6 tablespoons of coconut aminos, 2 tablespoons of water, 1 teaspoon of arrowroot starch, and I'm going to first use those. So I'm going to combine our coconut aminos, and I'm stirring this in a clear one so you can kind of see it. Our water, and our arrowroot starch. And I want to make sure I kind of get it all out, so I'm going to kind of push it with my fingers a little bit, because these bowls were just washed and they're wet. So after that, I'm just going to take my whisk and I'm going to kind of whisk it in there. And I'm going to wait for kind of all of that starch to dissolve. And once that's done, we can add our sesame oil, which we have 2 tablespoons, I think, and our fish sauce, which is 1/2 tablespoon. So now that this is pretty much dissolved, we have a couple little bigger ones, but those will dissolve especially later when we put it under heat and all that type of stuff. So we're going to add our sesame oil and our fish sauce. And we're going to stir that all up. And then once it's done, we can just set it off to the side and wait to put it on until the end. Okay, so now it's time to actually make things. So I have just a kind of wide skillet, and I will probably use this to cook the meat too, but first I'm going to cook the broccoli. So I'm going to turn it on to high heat for now, and I'm going to put in some coconut oil. I won't do too much, but I'll do enough. So about a spoonful, and then I'll let that melt around, and I'm also going to grab a spatula so I can mix it all around. And so now let's let this melt a little bit. Once it's melted, we're going to put our broccoli in, and we kind of have a short time window for this. You're going to put them in, put the broccoli in, coat it, cover it, lower heat, take it off, and be good to go. So it kind of sounds like a lot, but it'll be good because we will do it together. So this is about done melting, and I'm going to pour all of my raw broccoli in, along with 2 tablespoons of water. And I'm going to stir that up, make sure it's all covered, it's all good, all covered. Oopsies. I can't keep things in pans. And also be careful, it might pop a little bit, but okay. So once this is pretty much covered, I'm going to put a lid on it and let it sit for about 30 seconds. Okay, so I've turned the temperature down to a simmer just to let it go for a few more seconds, and she said once it turns all green, then we're good to take it out. So I will be kind of checking on it, making sure that it is doing well, and we will see. So as I have sort of realized, 30 seconds is a little bit too short for me. I like mine pretty soft. But if you like it crunchy, I'd go ahead and go for the 30 seconds. It'll be closer to raw. But I'm going to leave mine for about 2 to 3 minutes, kind of let it really soften up because that's how I like it. But this is totally your choice, and yeah, we'll wait till it's done. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. So our broccoli is looking good and cooked, so I'm going to take it off the heat, and I am going to dump all my broccoli into this bowl I have waiting. Pretty much what we're going to do is we're just going to go over stuff. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to turn this on to medium heat, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my sauce and my meat, which has been brewing for a while, and I'm also going to get some tongs to flip my meat. So first I'm going to do is I'm going to grease our pan once again because I had to wash out all of the other coconut oil that we had put in. So I'm going to put like a nice big bit because I want to make sure that our meat does not stick and we have no issues there. So while I'm letting that cool, I'm going to take my plastic wrap off my meat. And for this, it's kind of, we're just going to be like flipping it around, making sure it's good, but this will cook pretty fast. And so we have to be ready to add our sliced onions and our garlic, as well as some sesame seeds that I have right here, which I will add at the very end for garnish. So now that that's done, I'm just going to pour my meat in. And as I said, it's been going pretty quick, so add a little salt. and kind of don't necessarily, ow, I got burnt. Be careful of that. I'm gonna turn my heat down a little bit so I don't get attacked by coconut oil. And I'm just gonna kind of, they said put it around in a layer, but the way I cut mine, it's not gonna quite work like that. So I am going to just kind of, not necessarily start around, but just make sure that all of my pieces are completely cooked to about medium rare before I take them off. Okay, so our meat is almost there. You don't want to cook it so much because we still have to leave it on the heat to add the broccoli and all the other stuff. But you also don't want it to be too raw, so when you're finished, it's not done yet. So I'm gonna maybe leave mine on for 30 more seconds, 20 more seconds, and then we'll be good to go to add our stuff. I'm gonna add our green onions, garlic, and sauce, and then I'll add the broccoli last with the sesame seeds. So looks like we are about at a good time for our beef. So I'm going to add the sauce and our green onions. And I'll push my garlic out a little bit, but got that in there too. You can use more garlic if you'd like. Sometimes I feel like 2 cloves of garlic might not be enough. But I mean, that's totally up to you, and it also could be enough. You know, garlic is pretty strong. So I just make sure all of that is really incorporated and all together. And now that it's kind of mixed in and my beef is looking pretty good, it's a little raw, I might leave it for a little longer, but other than that, I will meet you back to add our broccoli. Okay, so my broccoli is, I'd say, almost there. So I'm going to add my, no, not my broccoli, my steak is almost there. I'm gonna add my broccoli in now. And the good thing about this is that nothing's really gonna burn as long as you keep stirring. So you can really keep cooking these for however long you feel the need to. And, you know, just wait for your meat to be ready. And I'm also going to add my sesame seeds, which will add a very nice color and decoration and make it look very professional. So I'm gonna let that sit for a little longer. I'm gonna grab my sesame seeds. I just got these at Whole Foods. And I'm probably gonna have to cut into them since they are not choosing to open based on what I want. And I'm just gonna dump, and that's a good amount. I think this is also mainly up to preference. You don't even have to put these in if you don't want to. But I thought that they would add a nice garnish and be good to go. You can also add some more green onions or any more amount of salt and pepper that you feel. You can make it less saucy, more saucy, anything you'd like, just so you can specify it for your tastes and needs. So that is that. We're good to go. I'll see you back over there. So this concludes our stir fry, and as you can see, it's done. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We only have dessert left, and then we're done. So give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I give full credit to Paleo Running Mama for this recipe. It's protein rich and it has lots of vegetables, and it's gonna be really good, and I'm going to go eat it right now. Bye!